it's our great uncle, his name, Grandma Delilah's brother.
Oh, that was his name?
Metlashne. Yeah. And Amelia gave me this name back in the 70s.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Oh, how cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I brought some cookies to celebrate.
Oh, nice. We'll put them on the counter, or put them there somewhere.
Okay.
Hey. Oh, here, right here. I'm going to toss it. Goshete. Tolowa. Hiwa ushi cookie. Yep, cookie. They didn't bother to make a word for it. Cookie, so cookie. Yeah. All right.
Birthday cookies.
Birthday cookies. Shot. Okay, so dalahan huinute. So I'm going to run through this little presentation I put together a while back, but I think it kind of is a good synopsis piece for what we've been through the last 2 days, and I want to end on nominalization today, the making of nouns, okay? And I had a little bit stuff things that I wanted to share with you as well that I, to close out this, the grammar section of this institute. Okay, so revitalization, language revitalization. So this is kind of a historical little piece that I put together to share our story about language revitalization. Okay, so language revitalization is a challenge, is the challenge. The challenge of an endangered language recovery is uncertain work. Endangered languages are spoken and spoken and unspoken. People are doing retrieval from archives, so those are the unspoken. Luckily, Tahoe Dee-ni is still a spoken language. Many languages are retrieved from manuscripts, publications, audio files, ethnographies, and from the hearts and the minds of speakers, such as was our history, has been our history. What will reform the speech community? Most children hear English and Spanish, not Dee-ni. How can an endangered language wage against media, colonialism, and singleness? What methodologies and appropriate approaches support endangered languages? Teach what you learn and speak what you know is kind of the philosophy. The Tahoe Dee-ni are Dene-speaking people of the Pacific Northwest. The Tolowa Dun lies across 10 river systems that empty into the Pacific in southwest Oregon and Northern California. The neighbors of the Tolowa are the Yurok to the south, the Karuk, Takelma, and Kalapuya to the east, and the Kus to the north. The Yurok language is Algonquian, the Karuk language is Hokan, the Takelma, Kalapuya, and Kus languages are Penutian. The Dee-ni emerged from fallen Genesis at Yantaket, south upon the hill, the center of the Dee-ni world. So here's our homelands. This is our Aboriginal homelands, going up to past Sixes River inland to the drainage of the Applegate River, the Illinois River, and including the Smith River, the Chetco, the Rogue, and the Pistol rivers. That's the area of our languages I've shared with you already. Hot Shritan, Genesis. 3 beings, baby sender, daylight, and thunder, were living above the earth in a sweat house of knowledge. They spoke and made the water-covered earth. The first tree, the white redwood tree, stood upon the knoll as it slid forth from the south out of the watery depths at Yantaket. The tracks of all beings to exist appeared. The Dee-ni emerged upon the land to join them. Baby sender gave the Dee-ni instructions on how to live upon the earth, and then descends unto the heavens. Tahoe Civilization. For the past 10,000 years, a vast abundance of riverine salmonoids, whale, and mollusks from the sea, elk, deer, and waterfowl from the land and lagoons supported 10,000 Tahoe Dee-ni. The 10 base systems of telecurrency and ceremonial regalia controlled the economy and governance. Dee-ni living in plank-built towns and suburbs organized under the Khashkhayu and their Mihashkhai, which are the bosses. Seagoing redwood canoes measured 42 feet in length, carrying a commerce across the seaboard that moved inland throughout the vast river systems. The Tahoe Dee-ni thrived until the Nakminti, the knife brandisher, arrived. The invasion. The Spaniards in 1542 and then the Russians of the 1800s sailed unobtrusively along the coast looking for wealth. The Mexican missions did not reach the Tolowa Dun. Gold was found at Sutter's Mill in 49. Rough, insatiable hordes invaded the West. Their invasion brought obliteration upon their civilizations. And that should be on our civilizations. The second governor, John McDougal, from 1851 to 52, wrote to the state militia and appropriated $1 million to commit genocide against the Indians. His quote was, "If the Indians are still found to be obstinate and intractable, a vigorous prosecution of war is our most efficient remedy. This campaign must be a necessity of one of extermination of many tribes. Between 1851 to 1856, the Dee-ni populations plummeted from 10,000 to 2,000 people." The Tolowa Dee-ni Holocaust. The Nantucket Massacre is the second largest single mass killing in American history. At the end of the Holocaust in 1856, 1,845 of our Dee-ni survivors were moved to the Coast Reservation in Oregon Territory. Others were moved to the Klamath and Hoopa Valley reservations in the South. Results caused by Holocaust, Indian slavery, and forced removal to boarding schools and sterilization, the remaining Tolowa Dee-ni population reached its lowest ebb of 116 to 250 by 1906. Today, the Tahoe Dee-ni enrollment has returned to 16,000, I wish, 1,600 citizens. I think it's a little bit more than that, a few more. The question begs, how come I don't talk Indian? The boarding schools, 1878. Policies and practices of the federal government continued by the Bureau of Indian Affairs. The off-reservation boarding school for American Indian children began in 1878 by confiscating children from their parents. Dee-ni children were incarcerated to re-education centers in order to assimilate them into American culture. The operational philosophy was kill the Indian, save the man, by breaking their bonds with family, their religion, and their language. Dee-ni children were shipped to Chemawa in Oregon, Stewart Indian School in Nevada, and to Sherman Institute in Riverside, California. If Dee-ni children returned, they could no longer speak to their parents or their grandparents, creating the first passive user generation. Each generation pushed the L1 language speakers into the past, leaving the Dee-ni among the elder passing generations. Remember, L1 language is your mother language, and so, in this case, these people were Dee-ni speakers and learned English as a second language. Children were brutalized for speaking Dee-ni. This account describes the life experience of a Dee-ni girl named Laura in the 1920s. Auntie Laura. Laura Scott was born in 1908 at Neely Chundon along the Smith River. Laura was an L1 speaker. She was kidnapped by the BIA at the age of 12 years and sent to Sherman Institute. Laura was caught speaking Dee-ni there. She was forced to peel a 500-pound bin of onions. Due to the pungent stench, her snot hung in her lap, and she could not see to end her chastisement. She could only feel the onions with her hands and the knife to finish. In complete desperation, she and 4 girls planned their escape. Each of the girls from a different reservation located across the state of California made their plan. Laura's home was the most distant, located 800 miles at the other end of the state near Oregon. For several days, the girls snuck the counted and guarded food rations from the commissary. Then one night, they cut the screen, slid down the knotted sheets to freedom into the night. They traveled at night and hid during the day to hide from the federal agents who pursued them. Arriving at each reservation, they recuperated and then walked on north. 1 year later, Laura and a Pomo girl reached Ukiah, California. They stayed there and managed to contact her mother, Alice. Alice hired a car to drive to Ukiah to rescue her. Finally, Laura was home and safe deep in the virgin redwood forest at Neely Chundon. Auntie would freeze up when she spoke Indian. She said her tongue didn't work right. Geez, I wonder why. Okay, so Weya Dailaha. What is language? Dalaha. She tu lashne. She Neely Chundon de ni nashli. Di shri ni she tu nu weya we nash ate. So I said, hello, I am Lauren Metlashne. I am an Indian from Neely Chundon. Today I'm going to be talking about our language. Language is a medium of exchange between two individuals based on a set of mutually agreed descriptions that represents an abstract world. So anytime two human beings, regardless of where they are in this world, have an understanding and an agreed setting, they begin communicating. Okay, just like I talked about the other day about the green monkey going up the tree when they squeaked a certain squeak ran because of the snake. and squeak another type of squeak, and you run down the tree because of the hawk. Now, those green monkeys have an agreement that those sounds mean something. So is that their language? Okay, and we as humans, of course, have many, many of those, and that's why I'm up here rattling on as fast as I am. Okay, until one speaks out and learns to, every grammar has evolved and a unique structure inherent to that worldview. Da nut hat, da nut de, da la ha, da inchi khwashhukas. Until one speaks out and learns to speak more than one language, they may not be able to perceive the multiple ways that human language describes the world and find the value of one's own language. So what I'm proposing here is that when you learn multiple languages, other languages, you begin to understand better in a conscious way how your language is describing the world, because now you have another framework to balance it against, right? And so your brain expands at that point, hugely. Language erosion and writing. Okay, language loss is called obsolescence. Okay, obsolescence. It becomes obsolete. So you're suffering from obsolescence. Okay. Following the Holocaust and removals to various reservations, the Tolowa community by the 1960s was the last Dee-ni speech community on the West Coast. Everybody else had perished. The language had perished. Siletz no longer was a speech community. Nobody on the Chetco River, the Rogue River, was speaking Indian. So we were the last holdouts for the Oregon Dene language. In the 1950s, the Dee-ni attempted to write the language. The first renderings were written with an English alphabet. The English alphabet did not contain the letters and sounds needed to write the language. It could be read by the speakers, but would be mispronounced by the non-speaking learners. And I shared this with you, I think, on Tuesday. By the 1960s, the community leaders recognized the complete loss of the language, and those who are speaking it. They observed their children could only speak a few well-known words, like Dalahan or Umchi or Bashuk or Hamanquit or Shuk maybe, or dog or something like that. That's all that they knew. They observed the children could phrases, expressions. The leaders decided to document the language. Tape recorders were beyond the financial reach of the Dee-ni community. Now, recorders should have been $10,000 because no one had any money to buy these such things, and they were brand new technology. They used to be reel to reel, a long time ago. The resources of the university were moved far away to an unknown to the Dee-ni. I mean, the nearest university here is Humboldt State, and that was before the road was straightened out. So it was whatever. It was hard to get here, and Indians weren't going to college. So in those days, yet. The Unifon alphabet. So in 1968, the writing of the Hupa language began with the Unifon single sound alphabet, which we've been through. The Unifon alphabet was immediately employed to write Dee-ni for the first time. The L1 Dee-ni elders were brought together. For the next 15 years, a litany of nouns, verbs, genealogies, songs, and prayers were amassed. The return of the Dee-ni spirituality, song, ceremony, and prayer became real and has a good and correct place in the world. Nayashri Netash, the winter solstice earth renewal ceremony, was publicly reinstated at Nilichundan in 1976. Since, the flower dance has returned. The arrival of the computer age limited the use of the Unifon alphabet, which exactly is what I've been sharing with you, already. Here's what it looks like. This was the final version of our Unifon alphabet, okay? And this gave us a really, really wonderful thing, a tool to collect a lot of data, and thank God for that, because I always say, if we started today, say we start our language project, today for the first time, we would not have had all the wonderful human, living people resources to help us get the information that we've gained from this period. So it served us very well, and it documented those things. The Talo Dee-ni alphabet, which is what we do use today, the credit-bearing Talo class began in 1972 at Delnert High School. The young Dee-ni were sent to college to become teachers, yet a new speech community was not emerging. So even though we've been plowing away at language since 1968, we still were not seeing speech communities our speech community expanding. It's like there's a problem, okay? The use of the unified alphabet provided great documentation, but was wrought with problems as the computer age, advanced coming into our current, not modern times, just current times. The Dee-ni community decided to leave the unified alphabet and replace it with a computer-friendly font by using whatever was available on the keyboard. We don't want to have anything special, no crazy shapes, no upside-down letters, no backwards letters, just what was on this keyboard. The Tahoe Dee-ni alphabet was finalized in 1997 using Roman characters. The update allowed the Dee-ni to be used and produced in virtually every media. And like say today, we can get on our cell phones and we can text each other. So here's our Mustrate Aish today, and we've been going through this over the last couple of days, and that's what it looks like. I just put a sample in there. And so Watras at work. So what we need to do with language as well is make regalia, make baskets, go fishing. Watras means our culture. It's our way of doing things. So to link together with language use also should be and could be and is our cultural expressions. Okay? So that's just a picture of that. Teaching Dee-ni Wayat meaning language. Language instruction began as a grassroots movement with no linguistic methodology or strategies. Meaning that we would just get together, say, what if all you guys were all the elders? And I would just randomly say, how do you say tree? And then we'd write it down. And how do you say rock? We'd write it down, We didn't have, because it was grassroots, we didn't have any formal training on how to do elicitation. Because in linguistics, you take courses on this, how to go out in the field and elicit data from people in a very structured, scientific, way. Well, we were just, going for it, and what was my grandpa's name? And we'd write it down, and so on and so on. So it was all over the place. In some ways, it was good because we learned a lot of information, from the sharing, but it wasn't like we didn't get every form of every word that we needed to, of every verb, for example. Improved instruction was needed. Past language courses were taught as enrichment activities rather than a language of use. So it was taught more like a culture class. Oh, we're going to get in here and we get to learn 4 words in Dee-ni and then send you home. It wasn't ever thought of at that time to say, well, how can I actually carry on a conversation in the language? I mean, we hadn't made those plans yet. Those goals weren't set yet. The California Master Apprentice Program expanded the total physical response model, MAP, placed a speaker and a learner together to create concrete context for language use. When I was a kid, this is a book, children. It is called Meet Chagatesh. So how many Dee-ni words did you just hear there? 1. How many English words did you hear? 15 or 20, right? So in total physical response, it's completely a new approach. Nishi huinute diwa ushi meet chagatesh. Nanchuhi anti meet chagatesh. Meet chagatesh. So how many English words did you just hear? None. How many Dee-ni words did you hear? 15. You see what I'm saying? So you stop doing a translation over from this is our eye, say naget. You say di naget wa ushi. You just say it right out in the language. But again, when we first started, none of us had any formal training, and that's just how we went about it. So you're learning all this English, which you already know, for one Indian word, for one Dee-ni word. You see what I'm saying? So, for example, MAP, Master Apprentice, was to get a learner, yourself or me, with a person who was still speaking or had good ability, and you worked with them one-on-one, because really, how was the old language back for the last 10,000 years learned? From hearing it from the people around you, right? Just like how we learn English today. You hear it and hear it, and finally start talking. So that was the Master Apprentice program. It got blown away by whatever. Anyway, it resurrects. The loss of the L1 speakers has become a challenge for the MAP project. So, because who are you going to go to get with a speaker, right? Because of the loss of them. The new approach is to secure funding, design a plan for a development of language program to augment the ongoing courses. Immersion is the best approach with direct contextual meaning. So again, what I just did to you was immersion. When you don't, you stop translating. I just start talking to you, in the language. Now, this is only one of the aspects of it, but it's a completely different way of thinking about it, the approach at least. So what's been really great is that we have now had, since 1968, we've had a lot of stuff go on. We have sent our teachers around the world. They've been to the Hawaiian program. They've been to the New Zealand, the Maori language programs, and they've been sent to the university to get coursework every summer on how to teach language better. They've been sent to institutes like ones in in North Dakota to Central California to learn how to better deliver language for learners. Okay, so what do I have next? So the language plan. Okay, recognize the use of language is real. Let me see, am I going to get into this later? Okay, let me check real quick because I don't. Okay, so one of the things that I do have planned to talk to you about is all of us have a language or a linguistic perception of what language is to us, and it's usually unconscious. We don't really think about language, we just use it, we talk, right? But within that, we have a bias built in it because that's the way we understand the world. It's the sounds that we're used to hearing, and it's the sounds that we're used to producing. So unconsciously, we have this way of seeing the world, right? Just makes sense, right? It's just kind of the way it happens. But if we don't get in touch with our, our set ways, we will start setting up blocks, I can't say it, or man, that sounds stupid, or I'm never gonna learn this. You know what I mean? So what you do is you shoot yourself in your foot before you start, because you're already convinced unconsciously about what language is and what language should sound like, what the word order we talked about yesterday, what the word order should be, right? You know what I'm saying? And so what one of the things I want you to recognize the use of language is real, and also check into these other things that we all have operating in us. I mean, when I hear people talk from the South, or I hear people talk from Australia, I'm like, what did they just say? And those English go, that's a bloody day. You're going, what does that mean, or whatever? It's like, who killed who, or whatever, you know what I mean? So we all have a language bias. It's just human nature. But we also can look at European countries and Asian countries where people speak 2 to 3 to 4 languages every day. They don't care. They can just speak language, right? They don't have a bias as much as we do. Everybody has a first language, though, so don't get me wrong. So also, to support Dee-ni spirituality and cultural practices. So along with that, again, is that idea that you don't want to have language just be an abstract thing. It should be in a context, okay? And we have a very ancient context. We've been in this land for thousands upon thousands of years. And that context, yes, has had a lot of things happen with it, a lot of things happen to it, and there's been a lot of changing, which is part of our history. But that doesn't mean that what it means, though, is we still need to embrace that and give it the context that the language, grew from and existed for thousands and thousands of years. Initiate immersion programs at daycare, and we've been trying to do that. Head Start, preschool, and the first grade programs. Now that would be great if we could get enough teachers to start visiting our classrooms and teaching our students at these levels, because the thing that we know linguistically, that a child such as Kay Hotch or any other child in this universe, they do not have a bias yet. Their ears are wide open, their mouths are available, and their learning is like instantaneous. So when I, as an L1 English speaker, want to learn a new language, I have to filter it through all of my stuff, before I trust or, I'm going to get into it, right? But a child is just there, and they're not threatened by it, they're not scared of it, they're not, going to lose something or gain something from it. They're just taking in data. They have their recorder on, and they're just taking a picture of everything they see and hear, and they're just putting it into files in their memory. Okay, they're learning, they're expanding. So the younger child can hear language, can just be exposed to it, the better for them, because they have less filters to have to filter through to get to the learning process. And that's just part of life. A plan for middle school. We've tried to work with public schools. It's been difficult. I mean, just structurally and behaviorally with the students. Support high school and community classes. Welcome to a community class. And this class does run at the high school as well, currently. Okay. And then we need curriculum development. We need lessons. I've watched the language staff toil and work up ideas for lessons. For example, one of them is called domains. You're claiming domains. And I like to use it as, for me, it's my ice cube kind of an analogy. So this is my ice cube, and that's a domain, okay? And so over here is another ice cube, sitting over here. And that's another domain. So a domain could be and should be something very focused. Like, so let's brush our teeth here. I don't know. And over here, let's peel spuds. Spuds. Oh. Spuds in the language. Because what happens to you and me, if I start saying, I want you to be a fluent speaker of Tolowa, you're going to kind of freak out a little bit, right? Or if I challenge you to try to talk to me in fluent Tolowa. But what's nice about domains, if I get real secure in the word jamute, which is potatoes, and I can say, shrunk, I'm peeling them, and then I can say, jamute, shrunk, you peel spuds. Oh, shkaka, mom, jamute, yes, shrunk, is peeling spuds. That becomes a comfort zone. It's a safe place, right? And over here, right, nashte, nachinte, nayaste, then it becomes comfortable, and I can understand that, right? And I don't have to know how to vacuum and drive the car and get a paycheck or pay bills or yell at my kids or whatever. You see what I'm saying? I become comfortable, and eventually, my analogy or whatever you call these, turns into melts. So these ice cubes start melting together, and your speech begins to expand. And then you've taken the thread away from, I'm never going to be able to learn a new language. But a domain is a way to help you focus and stay in the language in these little controlled units, for example. I mean, this is one way that you can, so curriculum development is really important, and approaches are really important. One of the things that you can do in your home is, because now that we have a fully written language, you can just print out labels if you want to, write them by hand and put them all over your walls. How do you say telephone and whiteboard, and how do you say table and chair and window, and you can just, watch anything, whatever, and then you start learning it also by visually seeing it. There's all these things, so that's curriculum. And then now jumping into another area which I hope to cover today a little bit and share with you is archive language data. Put it away and try to come up with a logical system. I mean, right now, Tolowa Dee-ni Nation has a new position. It's about a year old, or a year and a half old, 2 years old, however it is. But they're trying to design a new way to collect and host data so it's retrievable. It's very frustrating to have created a bunch of lessons, throw it onto the server and go, what did I call that? I didn't even have a system to retrieve it. And then recreating the unit all over from scratch, and then click on the button, oh, it's right there. You know what I mean? So just as far as systems, because our nation has got hundreds of thousands of documents at this point. Think all the way from fiscal to minutes from a meeting to discussions with a governor to the casino and our enrollment to, just hundreds and thousands of documents at this point, and we need a system to trap that, not trap it, but to organize it and put it in a good place. So we want to get archived languages data from the past. Negotiate with public schools English only policy. So we talk about having our own Indian magnet school. We created one called Tahoe Indian Magnet, but I think it's time for Dee-ni Nation to create its own school so we can actually focus on language. But guess what? All instruction in California, if you want state money, must be in what? English. Yeah. Now, there is a caveat, though, in that law. It says, if there is an agreement between the school board and the school, then a consideration can be made. So, the school district to this point has decided, we don't want Part B, we just want Part A, you know. And my own grandchildren were kicked out of our school when they first enrolled because they turned their homework in Dee-ni, and they were actually kicked out of the public school. And so, of course, Grandpa, Dad, and Mom went in, and we had a meeting with the principal, you know, and we figured out a way to make that happen. So then now they have to turn their homework, if they're going to do Dee-ni, in Dee-ni and equivalent in English. So she goes, oh yes, you did your science. Oh yes, you did your history, you know, whatever, for the state. You know, so that is a problem. You know, the state wants you to speak one language, English, okay? So they don't care if you're Spanish or Hmong or who, it doesn't care. It doesn't matter. Use AB 544 eminence credentials. So what has happened, which is a great program, the state has a credentialing board, right? And you have to go to school to get a credential math, science, history, whatever, PE, whatever it is, or multiple subjects if you're doing elementary school. Now there's actually a way for the nation to set up its standards for credential. Then through the nation, we give these people tests, we give them support and training. They take a final exam. If they pass it, then they get assigned a state-issued language credential that our council signs off on, and then that gives them the legal right to come into a school and offer language. So that's a step in the right direction, see. So then we become an enrichment class like taking French, Spanish, or German, right? Now we have Tolowa, you know, and so forth. And then now, this is where we're going now. Move Dee-ni into the home. Because what we discovered through time is that I could meet with you every day at 2 o'clock for an hour, you know, and the bell rings and you go home. But you have no other framework in the world where this language is useful to you. Like you get in your car, you turn the radio on, you go home, you turn the TV on, you know, you go to your neighbor's house and borrow some sugar. God, that's old. Who does that anymore? You know, thanks for the cocaine. I'm joking. No, I'm just joking. No, I'm just joking. No, but whoops, wrong bag. You know, no, but so the way that language is going to return to being real is that we need to start bringing it back into our house. And so if we go back into the domains, if we go back into expressing to each other and saying things, and then it lets the child know, oh, this language has value. You know, your neighbors can learn jamute. Why can't they? They learn something else. They learn burrito in Spanish, so why can't they learn jamute for potato? I mean, right? I mean, they're capable, you know, or whatever. I mean, we were capable of learning their language originally. Now we are those people. You know what I'm saying? So, but you got to bring it back into your environment. Joe, you gave an example yesterday about the you and your cousins were
T-shirts.
Yeah, the T-shirts. You know. Yeah, the Boucherie, Neely Boucherie. Yeah, you know, and there's one more piece. So by bringing it back and making it a part of your life, because the goal of this is what? Communication, right? It's not, you know what I mean? It's not just an abstract idea, you know, like, oh, let's be cool and speak another language. You know, it's for communication ultimately. Okay. What else is on this next one? Let's see. Okay, so just language and culture and use. So this is our language camp. You know, we get together and we do both language, we do culture, and we have fun, and they get to go swimming, and, you know, they get to eat, you know, and they get to know each other. Our community needs to know who it is anymore. You know, back when we all lived on the reservation or near the reservation, we all kind of knew each other. We've grown up and moved all over the place, and so now who are we? You know, what do we even look like? And how do I even know you're my cousin, you know, or whatever, or my friend, you know, or whatever. So this is all important pieces. Teacher training program to support ICLs, Advocates for Indigenous Language Survival, The Breath of Life, and Language is Life. These are all associations and organizations throughout the state of California supporting language revival. LILA, Living Your Language Alliance. This is a Humboldt, Delaware County thing through Humboldt State and Indian tribes in this area. NILI, Northwest Indian Language Institute, University of Oregon. Our nation has gone to that every summer now for the last, 15 years or something like that. So it's very, very well designed. Toledani Nation. We have Toledani Language app, the Apple Store. We have the Way Up Done and Travel website. We have online dictionaries, which are now available. I'm going to show you how to open that today. We also have the credentialing I was speaking about and the university. We have linguistic certifications, and now we get linguistic degrees as well in your language. I mean, to study linguistics, but then use your language as a focus language. So there's all kinds of stuff, new opportunities that were not there in 1968, that were not there in 1972. They're there now. And so it's exciting, really. I mean, it's just important. And the university, and lo and behold, somebody got a master's degree. My gosh, who was that? Yeah, you can hit me later. Okay. So language expansion and new terminology, and that's where I do want to end today. At the end of this by 5 o'clock is new words. We have to have new words. And so the creation of new words and vocabulary to express those concepts and experiences in Dee-ni are vital. Why is it vital? If I can't say I'm going to fly in the jet to Oakland tomorrow, I can say fly probably, and I'm going to go, but I'm going to a place called the airport, and I'm going to get into this thing called an airplane, and then I'm going to ride through the sky, and I'm going to land in Oakland, right? So if I'm going to stay in the language, I need to make, us, not me, we need to make some decisions on how to express those things. And I do want to spend time with you today talking to you about how we come up with these new things, these new ideas. A new vocabulary allows the speaker to stay in the language, okay? Because what will happen is, she tu ta'at te shash, she chamaya shri mela gwenash tinsh hitu she. How do you say injection? Me with my whatever I'm going to him for. And then you get stopped. Then your language stops, right? And then you start stumbling all around and saying, because di chamai she he shugesas nate, because with this shot, which I can't say, I'm going to get well or stay well. Okay. So we got to figure out strategies, make choices on new words. How are we going to do that? We're going to compose them. We're going to borrow them. What are we going to do? What we need to do something. Okay. And in new language, most, if not all, are nouns. And why would that be? Okay, so we are a verb-driven language for one thing, but verbs have been with humans since the beginning of time. Like I said yesterday, we cut, we sew, we paddle, we breathe, we die, we give birth, we do all these things. So humans have been doing verbs forever, right? But we haven't always had a computer, or we always haven't had a controller. We haven't always had a book. We haven't even always had cookies. You know what I'm saying? So the world is getting filled constantly, every single day, with new nouns, new nouns, new nouns. As technology changes, as psychology changes, as sociology changes, as history gets expanded, all these new events. Just like do you guys remember when it used to be called electronic mail? How do we say it today? Email. But originally it was electronic mail, and it collapsed to email, right? Yes. See, you're with me. You were there. You know what I mean? But that's how new words are formed every day in English, and we think nothing of it. We just, that's a new word. And then you pick it up, start using it, and by golly, So what do I have here? Nothing. Is that it? Oh, wait, yeah. Okay, so where did I go? I'm flipping too fast, evidently. What did I do? Yeah, I think that was it. No. Oh, this was my blank spot. Okay, curriculum, plan, and training. So we got curriculum like immersion. That means talking straight to you. Physical total response. Wait, what? Am I going the right way? Okay. Accelerated learning, language acquisition, skill set, domains, games, evaluation. How do you know you're growing? Well, we have to come up with some tools to see how you're doing. And then training, grammar, student management, professional development, state requirements, and college graduates. So what happens is these guys, you guys, some of you could take and learn to get a teaching credential, but do you really know how to handle a classroom of third graders? Do you really, a bunch of ninth graders who are discovering puberty? It's like, and so that's called, teaching strategies, right? And so all that needs to be learned by our teachers, right? Okay, now, this is where we see ourselves today. Finding the archival language sources. You, as a language learner, me as a language learner teacher, we're language hunters. Because we don't get to go and order our hamburger at Dairy Queen in Dee-ni, right? But I could be saying to my son, what do you want to eat? Oh, you want a hamburger? You want French fries? So we could be doing that over here. We'll go to the counter. Hi, we'd like to have number 5. you know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So you are a language hunter, you know what I mean? Meaning that you have to find your resources, you have to use it, you have to be the one that has to use it, all those things. So the language hunt, so they are resourceful and dedicated. They understand that native language speaking requires research and tenacity. You got to get on the horse and just keep on riding it. Okay, they locate resources, self-teach themselves the language, and share it with those around them. Okay, be a language hunter. Then we have the Flex database. We have now ethnographic resources. So I'm going to play you just a little clip here in a minute of Amelia Brown working with Mr. Pierce in 1962, right? And so that's an example of data, right? And elder recordings. Now some Amelia, I'll say Daishri first. So we have Amelia, we have Gobel, Sam, Bernice, Harriet, Mandy Lopez, Willie Bob, Frank Moorhead, Lila Moorhead. And then we have a bunch of people from the Rogue River. We got Ida Bensel and we got about another 15 people there, a bunch of people from there. So there's actually a few hundreds of hours of recordings, believe it or not. Archie Ben? I don't think Archie Ben, he might be. There's a source, we could find that question out. Yeah. And then articles and publications about language, about things, and universities and linguistics. And so I've had formal linguistics training. You would know it by the way I behave and talk, but anyway. So the Manet Dun I spoke to, bringing the language home. We have to make a nest for it, right? Like I said, I go to Dairy Queen. I have to build my own little nest right there in front of the counter, right? You know what I mean? Or in my home where this is a safe thing and it's an appreciated thing, and we may not be able to speak fluent Dee-ni, but who cares? What was that first phrase? What was it? The very first slide. Something about teach what you know. Teach what you know and speak. Share what you know and speak what you. I forgot. I'll have to go back and read it. But in other words, use it. I mean, expose yourself. Explore. Dedicated family groups willing to communicate in Dee-ni are taught and supported in their efforts to become Dee-ni speakers. Okay, and then finding the dynamics that we have. It's not easy work, this heritage language work. Funding, administration, Native Americans, ANA, we use it extensively, but we're on hold right now because you can only get so many fundings at a time. Of course, tribal funding from the nation, endowments from private industry, private sector, foundation work as well, and other language programs, hopefully. Dynamics, we have shame backlash. We have people, who suffer from a little bit of fear or shame, and we are recognizing that, because we're asking people to leave a known comfort zone and get over here in another area of their head and their life, and it's a little bit of, unsure ground there. It makes people insecure, right? But that's not our hope. That's not our dream. That's not what we want, right? But we need to acknowledge that. Turning the tide against language death. Again, back to tribal funding, and then language use in the workplace. And by golly, I call Tall Dee-ni Nation and say, Dalaha. They say hello, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's working, it's working a little piece at a time. And I just threw the slide in here of our great-great-great-great-auntie, Sinchotesna. This picture was taken in 1903, down at Yantucket. That's the old Yantucket dance house. So we have, this was Grandpa Westbrook Charlie's sister, and that was her 2 daughters and her granddaughter. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that in there. Well,
which one is Steve Tesna?
Sinchotesna is the mom.
Oh, okay.
And then this is Clara and Mary. So Clara, Sinchotesna, or Nettie, her English name was Nettie Grimes. And then her daughter, Clara Grimes. She became Clara LaFountain. She was Joe LaFountain's mother. And then Mary didn't have children. And then this is her daughter, Bertha, who had the 3 daughters, right? Sylvia, Barbara, and Betty Stewart, anyway. Yeah, anyway. And this is a picture taken down at Yontucket. So anyway, this is kind of like, just to end this little presentation about, well, those are our ancestors, that's the kind of place we come from, and thank gosh we still get to dance. So that's kind of cool, so there we are. All right, so I think that's Hiwasha. Oh, knowing the value of language. What is language? Why, Dee-ni? What is its value? That's what I spoke to you about earlier. Isn't talking Indian a word for a translation from English, Dee-ni? Oh, I'm glad I turned to the slide. One thing that I want to share with you, and I have it written down, maybe we should just go to that. How is it going to help me? Does it have value in the greater world? Knowing your indigenous self, Genesis to present. Okay, so I was told by a PhD who was freshly home from Stanford when I was a sophomore, so in Humboldt State University, child, baby, student, scared out of my wits, going to college. But I was told by this PhD that, why should I learn Hupa? You're just going to learn one word for replace another word. So I can say chesne, which means man. I can say leaf, don't, which means leaf. What's the point of all that? I'm not going to waste my time learning Hupa. And as a young person, and I was being raised here by the elders at the time, I was going, this woman's crazy. In my own head, I had no way to filter that. But what I've learned, what I want to share today, and I wrote this on my notes to share with you today, is that in the beginning, it is a word-for-word swap. And you are only going to have one word, one lexeme at a time, or 2 or 3 that you're going to learn, and that's what is the beginning. But the end game is completely different, because you get to eventually have the world view, you get to understand how it sees the world, you get to appreciate, the beauty, or the way the language shares with us. Let me give you a quick example before I move on to another area. So, for example, Nui Tesh. Okay. So Nui Tesh is when a woman gives birth. Okay, Nui Tesh. She gives birth. So, I don't want to be really graphic here, but I just want to say, I'm just saying, so, the woman has been pregnant, she's pregnant, it's time to deliver a baby, Nui Tesh. So she's having a baby. So, okay, so right now it's just a verb. But, what I like, so then take this word, Nui Tesh is a funeral. Well, now, wait a minute here. So I'm sharing a little bit of worldview right now. Okay, so my mom was pregnant with me, and she's giving birth to me, and I'm delivered, right? But then when I pass away, it's Yuntin Nui Tesh. So what this means is that Yuntin means yonder, over there somewhere. Nui Tesh, you're being born there. So beyond or yonder, you're being given birth to. Now, in the old days, when they would take a body, and lower it into the grave, they would not just go straight down like we today. They would go down a little bit and then lift it back up. Go down a little bit further and lift it back up. Go down, lift it a little back up. And then finally, about the 4th or 5th time, they would be at the bottom. And then they would leave it in there. So what do you think that represents? Why would the Tolowa bother to do that in the past, culturally, or according to this verb? Because when a woman is pushing and she's effacing, her body pushes and then it goes back, right? And then she pushes, right? And then she goes back. And then she pushes and the baby crowns and finally comes out, right? Finally. So you are being put back into the mother. You're being given birth into the new place. And of course your spirit is gone. It's moved on, right? To the Yuntin, beyond, someplace else, you are being born. So just in 2 words, you can see a piece of the worldview. You can appreciate a piece of the culture. And our belief system is buried in these words. I'll give you a noun. Compnet. So compnet. Compnet and schwa, or something like that. Geez, your butt's big, or something like that. So compnet means your rear end, okay? Compnet. Well, so and there's another way to say the same word, which is ah. So you can say ah for the rear end, or you can say compnet. And so ah is used like, even at the end of a boat. So here you have a canoe, and then there's the chair, the seat, and that's the end of a car, so forth. So we're looking at this one day, I'm thinking about it, and so how is it that compnet means your butt? Your rear end, Well, so one day you have an epiphany or an observation. Taskum. Oh, ne. Oh, personify the ER in our language. Oh, taskum. Oh, spot or speck. Oh, okay. Oh, so on your rear butt right here, when our babies, some of them are born, they have these blue spots on their butt right here. Okay, it's called, that's why it's called compnet, because for the first 6 months of their life, if they're born with them, they'll have these blue spots, and then they'll finally fade away, right? And so so we're saying the spot place right here, okay? But there's more to the story, because the story that goes with this whole noun, this is a noun, is that before you were born, before you were created, you already existed in this place. And you were in this pond full of life. And so the moment that your mom and your dad made you a body, one of the lives in this pond get to go and get in that body at the very moment that it's created. So, Marty, you got selected this time. So you're crawling out of the pool of life. And all the other babies in there are envious because they all want to get their chance to come to the earth and be a human. So they slap at you. They're slapping like out of jealousy, sort of like, I wanted to go this time, And that's where you get the blue spots. Okay? And so then you come out of and you come down and get in that brand new body that mom and dad made you, right? And then you grow, right? And then you're born into the world, right? Well, look at the culture and worldview 2 words have taught us. First of all, we believe in life before life, and that we are human from conception, not from 9 months or 3 months or whatever the state law, federal law says. But anyway, so my point is that you can learn a word to start with. You just learn compnet first. That means butt, but eventually you learn the deeper meaning behind the words. And so I'm glad we hit this because so let's do one more.
Where does that actual come?
Which one?
Where does that second one? Yeah, what's that mean?
Toss. Oh, so when you take a word and you pick it all apart, this is called parsing. And so this is a verb. Toss means to be speckled, right, or spotted. So I can use it like the stick is spotted or something. So ta means outward like this, and means it's a perfective. It's in the past state existence, and it was caused to happen. And then this means spot or speck. So it's like the surface over the top of it has been speckled. So that's what, if you pick it all apart, this is called parsing. When you take a verb and a noun and you pull it all apart to its pieces and you study the grammar, it's called parsing. You parse this all apart, see? So giitsai means a blue jay, right? Blue jay. I got to move on because it's 4 o'clock. Anyway, but another thing, some way that nouns come into existence are through stories. Okay? Stories. That's a good one. Let me give you another real quick. Because this flies right into what I'm talking about today. Okay, so jutsasne, that's a panther. Jutsasne. So we can parse it. Continually, it's called habituatively. Attempting to do, that's the conative. It's caused to happen. It means to whip around, and ne is the ER, the nominalizer. Okay? Oh, so panther is jutsasne. Oh, okay. So you learned that word, that's all you did know for today, right? Jutsasne. But later on, as you grow and develop and understand more, you're going to hear a story about this. So when the world was made, Genesis, Hatshritan, they created everything and made everything in order, and finally they made the first human. She was a woman, right? And we were given 3 laws. And one of the laws is, die, eat, drink, shton, shaman. So whatever you kill is for food. So that means you're not supposed to waste life. You don't go to the beach and kill something. You don't go in the woods and kill something. You don't go out and just kill people. You know, you're killing it because you need to eat it. That's why you're killing it, right? So Panther one day, not long after the world is all put in place, is out in the woods, and he comes to this beautiful meadow. And there's a grassy area and probably wild strawberries and whatnot, and there's a doe out there nibbling away on the grass, right? So he looks at that, you know, animal out there, that doe, and he gets down and crouches down, and he skillfully goes up and, you know, and then gets there and he jumps on her back and he puts his teeth in her neck, and he digs at her kidneys with his hind legs and he snaps her neck, right? Kills her. And then walks off, like saunters away. So what did he violate? One of the 3 laws. What are you supposed to do when you kill something? Eat it, right? You're not supposed to ever kill something for nothing. So, this guy yelled at him. That's Yametna'a talking to him. Why did you behave like this? He's being scolded. And he says, Shu'utimi, shkanyutimi, shu'ahonashtsas. You know, I got sharp teeth and sharp claws, and I can walk skillfully. He weni wa agitan. You know, that's why I behaved like that. So then, the other creator tells him, well, now when you go to kill something, you're going to have to whip your tail first, and it's going to see it and run, right? So, chus, tsasne, the one who's continually having to whip it. So even a house cat with a tail, when he's down there getting a gopher, right before that gopher's coming up and he attacks, his tail will wiggle, and the panther does the same thing, and the deer is going to see it and take off. So now he has to run and work for his food. It's no longer free. It's no longer a gift. So this noun came into existence from a story. And so we're going to do nominalization today, so I don't mind spending time on this with you, you know. And so nouns come into the world many, many different ways, okay? And getting back to the point I was making with the presentation was, how do we stand in language in today's world, right? So we have to make decisions on that. So, how is it going to help me? That's a personal question for you and for me. How has me learning my language enriched me? How has it helped me feel better about what and who I am in this world? This story helps me. The story of company helps me. You know, the story of a funeral helps me. You see what I'm saying? It's personal to me. It helps me be a richer, deeper, understood person within myself. And so that question I just beg out to you. So what is it, you know? And does it have value in the greater world? Well, personally, I don't care if it does or not. But if it helps something or does something or improves something, of course I care. But I'm not going to just say, oh, greater world, reject me, so therefore I quit. You see so there you go, right? And then knowing our indigenous selves, who are we as indigenous people? Did we forget that we've been here over 10,000 years? Think about that. You know, we think we've been here since 1492 and Columbus sailed the ocean blue, or whatever the heck we think. Or,
that's a conservative number.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, 10,000. That just means when we can actually find traceable evidence of our arrowhead making. That doesn't mean we weren't here a heck of a long time before that. We were here during the Ice Age. You know what I mean? So, already we were here at the Ice Age, right? So, anyway, so we're not even in touch with that. We have tenure in this land that goes way back into what the Australians call the dream time, right? So knowing your indigenous self better through your language, these ideas, these concepts, the way you view the world, and then from Genesis to our present. Why not? Why not enjoy it all? Why have to start in 1850 in the state of California, or 1492, or 1776 with the signing of the Constitution, or the Declaration of Independence?
Kind of an encouraging thing too. I remember Bernice said that she worked in Ukiah with one of my dad's first cousins. My dad was Italian, and they both were cooks, and it's a really popular restaurant in Ukiah. And she came home at 50 to become fluent again.
Yeah.
To teach. So that's a really encouraging story.
Yeah.
For all of us, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I remember when they finally, after they left Ukiah, they bought Feep's restaurant in Ukiah, or in Auric. And once in a while, on the way down to Eureka, we'd drive in there and have a cup of soup and half of a sandwich or something. And it was amazing to me because here was a person about my mom's generation, a little bit older, and they were talking Indian, and I was just going, oh my God, they're talking Indian. It was really exciting, But Bernice really, when she came home, she just started, because her mom was still alive, and Amelia lived to be 110, so they started talking again, and it came just flushing back into her, So, language, anyway. So, what else do I have here? Nothing. Okay, good, okay. All right, so hopefully that presentation just kind of was a capper a little bit. Whoa, hello, Delahan. Man, that was.
A little summary?
Yeah, that way. I'll get together with your fellow students, and they'll give me the cliff notes. Okay. Huh? Yeah. Yep. So anyway, so one of the things I have on my list, let me go through this, make sure things I didn't miss that went through this more. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about, before I get into nominalization, and continue on this discussion about language learning and stuff. I propose, or I think, that you're going to go through some stages. Okay, so stage one, I spoke to already. And that is going to be like just word association. And what do I mean by that? So I'm I don't know, 7th grade. I get hauled in from Redwood School to go sit down with the elders at Delner High School in room 13, D13 or whatever. And I heard the word month. And month means a house, right? Or a building, all right? But in my young learning, I had to unconsciously, I'm unconscious, but now, I associated it with a word I already knew. And guess what it was? Mutt. It's just a puppy, it's a dog, it's a mutt, right? And so I remembered mutt for next Wednesday by thinking mutt. So that's how I was getting my one-to-one association, because I had a little crystal of information right here, and I was adding to it another little piece of crystal to it, right? That little knowledge was growing, right? But that was in the beginning, and I propose that you're going to have some similar experiences, because you're going to try to have to say, now, what was that word? It sounded like something, and you're going to associate that. So that's kind of like stage one, I think, because you're being exposed to new information, new data, new sounds, new ideas, new concepts, okay? And yeah. And then stage two, as you learn more words, then you're going to start knitting two words together. Okay, so now I got a house here, Muntin, and I learned the word in Chua. It means big. So guess what? Chua. So now I can say the big house. which is cool, right? I mean, I'm now beyond house now, and then I learned the word, white, so I learned ski, or something. So now the big white house, and so on. So you start then taking your knowledge, your beginning knowledge, and then you start combining it, right? Pretty soon you can express yourself, in a limited way, but you're going to start having that little bit of comfort and joy, right? And then stage 3 is going to set in, and I call stage 3 frustration. Because what's going to happen is you're going to want to know, God, I can't say what I want to say. I want to say, I bought a new house, or the White House was burning, or something like that, or we're moving to a new house, and then you're going to be all frustrated. Okay, so I just want you to be aware that you are going to go through this as you acquire new information, and it's true for language if you're learning physics for the first time or whatever. I'm just saying, But I just want you to kind of think about how that works. But what I want to say to you is then that's when you become a language hunter. Okay, and I want you to, if you choose to, I want you to use all the resources that we've worked so hard to create for you. We have a language database, we have books, we made things computer friendly, over time. This has all happened over time. You have resources, you can talk to people, we can get some recordings out to you, whatever it is that we can support you as. We want you, though, to be the active, I'm a hunter for language and here I go, and you get tired and you start over and you fall down, you get back up, and that's all part of the learning process. It's just a part of it. So I just wanted to throw these up here because I think it shares in light of what we've been talking about. And I want you to, looking at, I already said, but like looking at your own fears that you may have about it. I'm going to be so ashamed that I can't say this. Or we are hearing from the newer generation people that they have a certain level of shame that they don't know this stuff. They're feeling like that, because I don't know this stuff. So then they have shame. I don't mean shame of the Indian, shame of the fact that, I feel lesser than I should, Please put that in a box and put it away, is my request. Okay, don't do that to yourself, And then our biases I talked about. We already have an L1 bias, which is English, right? And then everything we do is going to be judged according to that. But just be aware of that. And just let it be there, because that's normal, okay? And then, oh God, I'm going to say it wrong. Well, yeah, you're going to say it wrong, especially if you've never said the word, oh, I read it, hun, cookie, right? Hun, the cookie is sweet, and you're going to go, can, or shun, or something off, but who cares? No one in this room cares. I don't care. I care that you're trying. I care that you're wanting to learn and you're attempting. You know what I'm saying? And over time, you will get to hun, right? But you may start out with kun or shun or sun or something like that, right? All right, who cares? I mean, that's part of the process. And then you will, be like a babbling baby, sort of like, just trying sounds, trying to pronounce it. When I listen to Chinese, I try to hear the tone. Like, there's tone in the language. Where the heck is it? See, because my ear hasn't been trained to hear tone, right? But people who know tone, they can hear it and they understand it. See, so the same with your speech apparatus, your POA, your point of articulation, is designed to speak a monotone, flat language called English. So we are a monotone language. We just ramble on. Guess what? Dee-ni is a consonantal language. It's going like this. We don't have a flat language, And so your ear has to hear that eventually. Your mouth has to produce those eventually, and so on and so on. So monotone language, Japanese is monotone. English is monotone. Kadic language are monotone languages. It means they flow. Ours goes like this because we have all these wonderful consonants in it. It's just the way our language is. German is like us, is consonantal. It's full of consonants and less vowels. We only have 5 vowels and 30 consonants, as you saw yesterday in the booklet. Like Hawaii only has like It's a monotone language, and it only has something like 15 consonants and like a bunch of vowels. So it just goes, that's why Hawaiian sounds the way it does, right? And so on. So you have to baby babble, and that's okay. It was really funny. I was already retired from teaching, and Galish had taken over by then Tolowa at Del Norte, and there was this kid there. And I got to laughing, trying to hold it back, but he was actually baby babbling in Tolowa in public, but didn't even know. Like he was just trying to get his mouth to work, and he was just talking away. And at first I thought he was making fun of the language, like being a jerk or something. And then as I listened to him, he was trying to get his mouth to say the sounds, and he was actually babbling as a freshman in Dee-ni. It was really cute to see and hear him do that. And then I go, oh man, he's just trying to train his mouth. Because he knew Spanish already, I think, and then he knows English, and so now he's trying to learn a third language, and he was just practicing out loud, and it was sincere. It was actually really cool. So I just want to get all that, in you, because right now you're going to work on the pronunciation of the word, and eventually you're going to want to have the enunciation of the word. You want to be able to start saying it, but then you'll work on your correct prosody, the correct sound, but that comes with time. So don't be overcritical about yourself. Be loving of yourself, be supportive of yourself, and know that you have supportive people around you. Okay? Like, are we going to say chithu? Are we going to say chetko? For example. At first we're going to say chitku, probably. But eventually you'll get the chithu, right, for the Chetko village, right? All right. So, I wanted to share with you really quick. We have about 50 minutes left. So did we already open it, Galish? I think we did, right? So what I wanted you to witness. So would you start from scratch again, real quick? I'm gonna just close it, or just do another one. Yeah. So when you go online, just so that you know, because I want you to actually physically see to find our language database, just so how it works. Okay. So you go to the computer, you go to the bar, and you type in what?
Google.
Yeah. That's right. You type in Google first. That's right. Right. Thank you. Okay. And then you're going to type in some simple little words. Wayat, which means our language. Dun means language place, right? Our language home.
So is this connected to bombastic or no?
This is bombastic, but the new form.
So,
well, it's not bombastic
so
anymore.
So they have options here. You can go to the full website, or if you want to use this dictionary, this person, what I do most of the time, I go straight to here. But if you haven't signed up, sign up and sign in. We'll take you through this really quick. So you can sign in. You can create a login here. But say if you didn't want to do that and you're busy, you're in a hurry because life is busy, you can go straight to there. But if you sign into the website, it'll look like this. And this is what I want you guys to look at. So tips for searching the dictionary. So this is a database that's been exported, and it's not quite exactly how we want it, but it is very useful and very powerful. There's just ways to optimize it. So one of the ways to optimize it is the first one's for like your more advanced speaker, but the root is like the very end of the word.
We went over that really thoroughly.
Okay, so the root, use the root. If you can't find like a hot dog, like have a space in between the words hot and then dog.
Try that.
One that I always tell people is like think of multiple ways to say the same thing. Don't look up INGs. Don't look up with S's. Just read through that and help you search through it. But as we look through this, we'll go through the word real quick. Say if I typed in I want something, it's going to come up. If you guys see on this left, this is how it's going to come up. So if you don't understand what 1S means, who can tell me what 1S means?
We went through all that. Let's try it. So let's go through. What's 1S, everybody?
1S mean anybody?
First person singular?
Yeah, me.
I.
I.
Yeah, it means I right there. Right?
I want.
It tells us what that means. All right, second person, anybody?
You want it.
You. Yeah, what's third person?
You say, he or she wants it.
Yeah, that's like we were talking about somebody. Oh, this lady over there, she's like, got long hair. First person, dual. Okay, so dual. That means us two, we two, like including yourself in that. You two, talking about two people. And so it goes with the rest of these, goes
First,
on through
yep.
here.
Yep,
So so that just helps you search the dictionary. And if you look through the dictionary and you can't find what you're looking for, because maybe you want to know what a triceratop is, because you got little boys or little kids and they love dinosaurs, and you're like, oh my god, I don't know what a triceratop is. It wasn't in there. We actually already have done that.
Right. But if you do find a hole like that, please contact us because we
how
want to
you do
include that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how you do that is you go to this, do a language request form, and you file it. And the tribe has a language committee. This goes to the language committee. The language committee has decided as a group on what the new word is. It's talked about for great links. And then we put it on the web.
Then we include it.
Then we put it into the database, and then it's not like instantaneous, but like every so often we export it.
Did we share how we do the process? Like, because we do it from describing what that is.
Right. So that's what's going to be. That's why I'm closing the day out.
Oh, okay.
That's what I want to show is on how we go about
So somebody give
nominalization.
me a verb to look up. A verb.
Love.
Love. Okay.
Interesting story, because that has a lot of implications in traditional, because in English there's only one kind of love, but in Tahoe Dee-ni culture we have multiple kinds of love. There's family love, like I love my daughter, I love her immensely, and there's also romantic love, like I love my wife differently, but I still love them both but differently. So this is good, like adult love, or I just call it like
Less love?
less love.
Yeah, less
I don't
love.
like that, but I call it like romantic love.
Yeah, romantic. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's like you wanting somebody, and then there's also Ganshan, which is kind of more you want somebody close, which is like family love. So, and that's different, and those are right here. So, on your own, without me telling you, can someone tell me how would you say like YouTube love?
In the Gongshun one.
Yeah, it's right here, like family love, YouTube family love.
Yeah, we can't see that.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
too
you can't.
small.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, it's gonna be right here. It's gonna be Nukshun.
Yeah, Gongshun.
So now it needs to be this one right here, the second dual.
It's in our book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just wanted you to see the website. It's actually very powerful. And if you know an Indian word, like you want to look up, bashuk or something, like bashuk, say bread, go then, then unfortunately it has to be typed correctly. So it's ba hyphen, you can go like that. You go, ba wa, ba wow. And then ba on, see? Ba shre,
Sand bread's probably there, Mom.
pastry, yeah, bashuk, bread.
There it is.
Bashkhan, pastry. Etabama, Alabama. Bosch, the biscuit, and so on. Yeah.
So something how I use this language tool is have forced language time that you do with yourself. Just pick 5 minutes. Do for 5 minutes. Say 5 minutes. I'm gonna use language, and have your phone with you if you have a smartphone. And then you get to just try to use your language. And if you can't, you just literally look up. Already have this pulled up. Look at what you're thinking. Like, I got instant nosh tea. She got my baby, and she drops. I'm like, I forgot what drop was. You can just look up your phone and be like, drop. Not that, not us. Oh, day one chaos, must have day not us. So it helps me stay in the language. So it's a good tool for that, even just on the fly. And it gets faster, and you get to use it that way. But
And like I said, there's darn near 18,000 entries in this thing at this point. And
so this is the thing, like, I don't know if you already talked about it, but this has the old book. It has stuff that wasn't in the old book,
Right.
going from old
Yep,
ethnography.
went through all of that.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
when people were from
And is it restricted parts of it too for just us?
No, not for this, because this is just pure language.
Okay.
We haven't even entered like the ancestors' names in it and stuff like that. Not just, just we haven't done that per piece.
Got that part yet.
Yeah, but as far as this is just language, this is, because again, how many verb roots again do you think there might be? 400? 400 verb roots.
No way.
Yeah, and he put them on a
No
chart.
way.
I was gonna have him call it in here today, but
Oh, I can't
I
wait to
did. But
hear about
it's this
that.
big, huge piece of paper. It's wonderful.
I can't
And
wait
now,
to hear about
yeah, huh? Yeah. So anyway, this is our pride and joy right now as far as
What's it, www way out then?
yeah. So it's.
Yeah, then.
So write it down, everybody, if you want to. So Wayot means language, done means place, the language place, .com, and bam, there it is. Wayot up at the top. See www.wayotdone.com, and tribal members and non-tribal members can log on and create your own account. Oh, it's on. Oh, yes. what I handed out to you yesterday. Sorry, it's right here. That's why we provided this for you yesterday. And if you didn't have a copy, I got another one. Okay. All right. So the big discussion I want to end, or the piece I want to end on is, well, a couple of things. So first, I want to share with you, like when we're coming from a resource, like a recorded resource, and so remember I told you yesterday how I asked for years from, as a kid, how do you say smile? Remember? And then, they say, oh, shikhan, which means happy. That's, okay, oh, so, that whole thing I was telling you yesterday. Well, guess what? So the other day, our wonderful staff member, Charles Wentney, standing in the back of the room, who was listening to the recording from 1962, and of Amelia Brown talking the language, speaking the language, and this guy's asking her questions, and lo and behold, she goes, I smiled. And I'm going, no way, are you serious? And then there was one on he smiles, and then one on they smiled. And then today, or yesterday, found out that we too smile. So I just want to show you what that sounds like. So, where am I at, Valesh? So I got to go find.
So this is a good showcase of us adding new words to the dictionary database from really old content.
Can I, where am I at here?
Go to the folder.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. No, speaker-wise. Oh, can we hear it? Oh, here it is. Okay. So hopefully we can hear it. Yeah, I hope it's.
He smiled. No.
They were talking about dogs before.
Oh, man.
Oh, the man smiled.
Yes,
Very useless.
he smiled.
The dog.
Oh, a man.
Oh, the man smiled.
Yes,
Very useless.
Okay. And there's more.
how about they, more than one man smiled. More than one man smiled.
Oh, them very useless. Just one man. More than one man. Matter of fact, useless.
Both of us smiled.
No, need safety, that was
Both is no, me. No, me. Both.
not need, that's most of us. Not need safety, that was
I laughed or smiled.
Yes, you do that house. Yes, you do, it's a laugh and a small that house.
All right. So you got to hear what that's like. We sit and listen in the office and work on this for hours at a time. So now we have a verb that was never been documented before as far as in this history, but it was on this recording from 1962. So me'awasas is in the past tense, and this is in the present tense. So because we know the grammar thoroughly now, inside and out, we can take just from these 4 entries and make all 9 present tense verb forms and all 9 past tense, okay? Because there's enough data to give us those clues that we can be 99% very sure of that we're correct, even though that's all we have in the whole universe of an elder from 1873 talking to us. She was recorded in the 1960s. So I need to find out, okay, so first singular, second singular, third singular, first dual, second dual, first plural, second plural, third plural, and the passive. Remember what the passive was yesterday? We don't know who the doer is. Somebody came by and stole my flowers last night.
Yeah.
Somebody left a pie on my counter, on my porch, or something. You don't know who it is. That's the passive. So by this data, we know grammatically, because it has a Y in it, this is a transitive verb, which is interesting to me. So how can it be a transitive, meaning it requires an object? I find that interesting, because that's what this marker means right here. Remember I showed you the vowel chart yesterday? And this is a transitivity marker. This is the connotative, the one like they're attempting to do something. And then this is the verb root, sus. So I asked Oh, do we still have Bombastic open? Would you go type in sus for me and see what pops up? And look at the verb root sus? Okay. Anyway, so now we have the past tense. We have one past tense verb, and we have 3 present tense. So we know they all start with me. So we can do all that. I'm doing this really fast just because I already did it, but I mean, this is all as of yesterday. Okay, so how do I get the first person? Well, it's remember first person is just shh, right? So it goes me oosh sus. Oh, so I'm smiling. May sus, you are smiling. May you sus, he is smiling. And because we have one past tense force, thank God for that, because it can be an N perfective, it could be an S perfective, or a GH, right? Remember there's 3 past tenses, but guess what? This is a GH perfective, and I'll show you how. Do you see a GH here in this word? No. But there's a thing in linguistics called phonology. Okay, so what happens is, when you have an oo sound followed by a GH sound, it becomes wa. This is called phonology. This is when 2 sounds work together, it creates another sound. So, underlyingly, what this is right here is a GH, okay? Because of this rule right here that we know about our language. So if you start out with the past tense, so it starts with me. I'm going to add this in there for now. Okay. So underlyingly, what's happening here, this used to be the oo, and then it was combined with the GH, and it became that. Okay. So that's how we know it's a GH perfective, because it's all throughout the language the same way. And so we know it's not an S perfective, because it doesn't say si sus, and it doesn't say ni sus. It says we sus. So we know that it's oo, underlining we sus becomes we sus. And it's all over throughout the language. So we now know that it's a GH perfective for this verb form. And then we just conjugate them from there, right? So me, we sus, you smiled, he smiled would be me, ya, we sus, okay? Because that transitivity marker is right here, see? And you're saying in your mind, well, why are we getting an ah sound here instead of a oo? Well, again, when you combine oo with g, it becomes a we. And it just goes out to the verb the whole way. And so just we have enough data now to have 2 complete verb paradigm for this one verb. Very exciting. It's like it's a day of discovery. It's like really cool because all we had, well, not what we had was we had shriekchan, which means to be happy, right? Or what was the other one we had? Shriek. Oh, gutlu. Gutlu means to laugh. So, he gutlu. He's laughing. He must be smiling. He's happy. He must be smiling. You know what I mean? So by analogy or by semantic spread, we just accepted that until 1962 recording. Bing! Here it pops out. And it's so cool. And it's like, well, how come she didn't tell us that in the 70s? You know what I mean? Like, or whatever. But she lived to be 110. So if you were 90 and somebody asked you, how do you say a smile? She hasn't heard it for 30, 40 years or used it, that kind of thing. So there's all that going on there as well. So this is a way to recover from minimal data the actual full verb paradigm because we have enough forms of it available to help us get there. So like I said yesterday, there's really no reason to create new verbs because all the verbs really have already been created because of the human use, right, over time. And we just had to discover one that was not documented. Now this is going to go into the database for us, okay? So that, so some people are going to say, oh, you're creating new words. No, this is a real word. It's got all the elements. We understand it grammatically. We know the form, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and there you go. So that's a verb, and this is rare, everybody. This is very, very rare. And so it's like scored A, like we found something really awesome, that was hidden away in an obscure recording from 1962.
Awesome.
Yeah, so there you go on that. Now, let's go to nominalization.
What did sus mean?
So, sus, did we look it up? Oh, we didn't. What we found out is things like pants, sus. And then it was, how did we find it yesterday? We typed in just sus, wasn't it?
That was through Arvita.
Only Arvita? No, I thought it was, okay, so Arvita is the Tututni language database that they're putting together right now.
Who's doing that?
The Carson and Jerome and Viles and J.C. Hall, and she's going to be doing her PhD on that project. Was it only in Arvita? Wait, let me look. Did I bring my notes? I left them at the office. No, I didn't. Right here. Okay. All right, so we found it in some words. Okay, so Dagetsus, a ridge on a mountain. Neginsus, the fire's going out. Stri neginsus, the wind put the fire out. Chesus, bark of a tree. Chesunt, deer. Degulsus, flame. Letsus, grab like a blanket. And then sus is pants, muntsus ut, and then segin sus deer skin. Oh, segin sus. And then sus by itself can just mean skin. So I guess me you sus, you're moving your skin.
Oh, interesting.
So here this is flesh, and then you're going. See, I told you our language is very descriptive. So that me, what's it called, Pyra? Me grammatically? The recipient of that which is then skin, or maybe to stretch, or to grab something blanket-like. So me you sus. It's in the word me don't sus too for dogwood. So maybe it's talking about the big, soft white petals of the dogwood tree. So it's like a hide or a skin, you know. So when we start doing this, you start getting into the psyche of the psyche. That's not the right word. The view of the language. And I'll give you a good example. When you say ra'i, he sees it, right? You say te'i, he's watching it. You say neshi, he's examining or looking at it. So what's the verb root? It's I, right? To see. So ra'i, te'i, neshi. And then we have this verb that's huante. And so you ask the elders, okay, daelaha huante. Well, it means to you're looking at it. You're looking for it. And I'm going, te and I don't sound alike. So how can this one be to look for? You keep bumbling through the language. You keep comparing the verbs. You keep looking at the data. Oh my goodness. So eventually over time, te is you want something, right? Like I want the car, or I want the keys, or I want food, or something like that, or something like that. Oh, look at that's interesting. Te. Oh, huante doesn't mean you're looking for, like I'm looking for my keys. So masachkas huanishte. It doesn't mean you're looking for them, it means you want them. So your behavior is, where did I put those keys? Oh, did I put them over here? No, are they in here? See, so you're saying I want my keys, not that I'm looking for my keys. So my English mind was going, I'm looking for my keys. Have you seen them? So in my mind, it's got to end in I. But in Dee-ni, it ended in te. So you're wanting them, thereby you're looking for them. You see what I'm saying? Because the English gloss was looking for that, looking for it. But really it means wanting for it. Something you're wanting. So that's you're out looking around for it, right? And so again, that's how you start seeing the semantic meaning of all these verb roots, these 400 plus verb roots that Chahuane has isolated and put onto a chart. And then remember, they all have ablaus too, remember? Not all of them, some of them have, a lot of them have ablaus, which means like, remember? So this is ra'i, he sees it, and ages, he saw it, so that's the ablaut. Remember I talked to you about that? Like see, saw, ran, run, and so forth. So then you start picking it really apart down to its bare bones, right? So that's, you parse it clear down to its last piece, pull it all apart, look at all the pieces in a verb, you know. So, me use. Oh, here's your verb root right there, which we know now has to do something with skin. This is you're attempting to do it, maybe completively, maybe not. This is an object, it means transitivity. And again, Paiwa is the what? The recipient, to receive that. So something is being received. I guess the skin is receiving this. It's really, but anyway, that's really getting down into the guts of our language, you know. And again, this stuff I don't want you to have to memorize. You don't need to memorize any of this. This is looking down into. Remember, I kind of described it as a skeleton, you know, the core meaning of what our language means and how it's structured. Now, that's still a verb. We haven't got the nouns yet. Sorry, we'll get there. Time's running out. Okay. All right. So. One of the ways that we look at our handout from the very first day of the syllabus, I think I listed some on here, for example, for you, a few of them. Okay, so we have to make some choices. Remember a while ago I went to the doctor and got a shot, but I didn't know how to say shot. Okay, so there are some strategies available to us, left to us by our ancestors. So none of this is made up, okay? I want to, because some people are really afraid of new nouns. There's like a belief out there that you can't make new nouns. Are you serious? Only the old people could do that, you know? And we know that our language is very descriptive, right? So let's give you an example of okay, say it with me, Tutencha. Tutencha. Oh, what is Tutencha? Watermelon. And did the Indian people here have watermelon 200 years ago? No. It came rolling in off of some boat from here or something, or somebody bought us watermelon, right, or whatever, and man, do we love it, right? But so this word is way before I was born, way before anybody in this room was born. But so what does tu mean? And then what does nchwa mean? Yeah. So what is watermelon? Big juice. Big liquid. It's really watery, right? So they called it Tutenchwa, our old ancestors, and it's already eroded from Tutenchwa to Tutencha over time. That's called erosion. That happens. All languages do this. What's a good example of English erosion?
Email.
Right.
Yeah. Jesus.
What does would not have eroded? Yeah, wouldn't have. Wouldn't have. He wouldn't have if I didn't say anything, right? right? But see, so that word that would not have originally turned to wouldn't have, right? So what is o'clock? Because clocks are new. They've only been in human history for a couple of 100 years, right? We didn't have clocks. We had sundials. We had things you turned upside down. You followed the sun by the day. And then they invented this thing called the clock, right? So it used to be 1 of the clock, 2 of the clock, 10 of the clock, and 12 of the clock, and it's eroded to a clock, right? So 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. That's erosion. So Dee-ni does the same thing. Give another example. This is old. This has come from a story. So Shri Gan Shra. You remember what that means by chance, Shri Gan Shra? It means the dove, right? Shri Gan Shra. But it came from Shru Gan E. Yeah, and it comes from a story, right? Shru Gan E Shra. Grandma, for her he cries. This is the dove, right? And whenever this was composed, it now has eroded to Shri Gan Shra. Okay, so nouns erode, and they get shorter sometimes, and sometimes they don't. But a lot of times they do. Okay. All right. So nouns are trying to, you take a verbal action and you cease it to happen. All right, as one strategy. But anyway, so we have a thing called phonologically shifting. So one strategy is to phonologically shift a word into, I'll put it that way, Tolowa. What the heck does that mean? Okay, well, you already heard one today. What is it? Cookie. Cookie. Did the Tolowas have cookies? No. Do we have cookies now? Yes. And what do we call them? Cookie. Because it comes from the word cookie, right? Cookie turned into cookie. All right? See? So that's phonologically shifting. So we got the example. Oh. What about this one? It says gape, a K? G.
G.
Automotive.
Okay, so what is gape from? English.
Coffee.
Coffee, exactly. And we do not have a f sound. So it's a the next nearest sound is b. So, and we don't have so it's gape. So this is coffee, right? Any other shifts that we've borrowed from English off the top of your heads? There's tons of them. We did a lot of vegetables that like this. Huh? Yeah. Muti. Dailaha akamuti. What is it? Daila akamuti. A car. Yeah. Aktamapid.
What's it break down to?
It's not. It's shifting it phonologically from English to Dee-ni. Akamuti. From automobile.
Right? Our English.
See, because the first cars were called automobiles. Automobile, akamuti. It's just, yeah. So you're just shifting it into your sound structure. That's what phonological shifting means. You're shifting it you're taking the sound and shifting it to your sound structure. Okay? So that's strategy one. And there's plenty of these. Lettuce, what is that? Tomatoes, bananas, epishkat. Those are all borrowed from where? English, right?
Those are all introduced foods.
Right. And then what did I give you yesterday? Mula, right, from Spanish for jackass or mule, right? And then what was the other one? Camote. We heard them say the word, and they became chamute. See how we got potatoes, right? Those were phonologically shifted from Spanish, right? Now, another strategy, which is very extremely rare in our language, is onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. Help me out, somebody. Onomatopoeia.
That's what Google's for.
P-O?
P-O-E-I-A.
P-O-E. Right, P-O, what?
P-O-E-I-A.
I-A. Okay, there you go. But what onomatopoeia means, it's a Greek word, I think, onomatopoeia, it means from the sound. Now, we have a language over the hills called Karuk. It loves to use onomatopoeia. Like, they'll say, chirrup, chirrup is a cricket. Because outside you go, chirrup, 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 chirrup. Oh, that's a cricket. So they use reduplication to make a word. So chirrup, chirrup, and they repeat it twice. Chirrup, chirrup is a cricket. Wheat, wheat is a certain kind of a wren because it makes the wheat, wheat sound. Okay, so that's onomatopoeia. In English, we say bam. That's kind of onomatopoeic because we're using the sound something made. Crash. That's onomatopoeia in a way, okay? So we have a few examples of it in Dee-ni, very few. One of them is tu-ni. And recognize this piece of grammar. Remember, this is the ER. This is the noun maker. Run-er, see-er, talk-er, But there's an animal that when it's teaching its babies to eat, it goes do, 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 do. Eat over here, peck over here, eat over here, do, 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 do. Lives out in the woods. This is the quail. So this is our word for quail. Again, we don't know how old it is. It could be 10 million years old. We don't know. So do, do, but it's coming from the animal sound it makes. What about this one? Oh, chew. Oh, oh, oh. Chew. Chew means big. Oh, 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 oh. Who does that? A goose, exactly. So hon chew is geese or goose. What about foo shri? This is a verb root which means to make. So what makes a boo sound? Boo, boo. A cat. So that's the word they're using, the sound they're using for boosh, like for the sound. So it makes that sound. So cat booshri, making this boo sound.
Oh, mush mush.
Mush mush could be from moo moo, right? See?
Like you're up, moose moose.
Right, moosh. And so actually we think this word, we borrowed this word from Chinook jargon, we think. Because they use reduplication just like Kuduk. So moosh, moo, and then moosh moosh. You see, moosh moosh. But we also did duplication here. Do, do. See, we did it here. And just recently we got the word for, the noun for this bird. Chalk, chalk, chalk. So the first thing we did is that, what does chalk mean? Well, it means to grab things or to pinch things or to gore things. Like chakne. Then I'm thinking, okay, it means this bird does that. And I'm thinking, does that bird do that? Like it's not a hawk, it's not an eagle. It doesn't go out and catch things the same way. So I'm down in Nilichand, I went down out by the river, and I got attacked by these birds, and they were just mad because their nest must have been nearby, and they were just yelling at me. There must have been 10 of them. And they were going, chak, 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 chak. It was the blackbird. And I go, oh my God. So that's what they do. When you're around blackbirds, they go, chak, 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 chak.
Oh, there's sound.
Their sound they're making, so that's actually, I think, is onomatopoeic. I don't think it means to gore or pinch or grab, with your fingernails, with your nails. It just means the sound they make. It's very simple. And these are very rare in our language, but they do, here's examples, they do exist, right? So if we're going to compose a new word today, we could consider this as a way to get there. But you'll notice that in all cases, except for the word I think we borrowed from Chinook Wawa, well, and this one's 0, but there's always a little piece of grammar. The verb to make, they're big, the do, you know what I'm saying? So we're using the sound with a little bit of grammar. Okay, so then another way to make nouns is to describe what it does. Okay, so you take a verb somehow and you describe how it does something or how it looks. So, huh? Quietas. How about tseente? I'm just gonna. So let me see. So this is to describe it, right? Okay. So I'll give you this one. Oh, okay. So you need to know some things. So nteh means flat. It means wide. Okay. Tse comes from the word tsenet, which means bone, an owned bone, a possessed bone. Okay. So tseente, who has a flat bone? Who's got flat bone when you look at him? There's an animal that lives out in nature with a flat bone. Walks around on the ground, swims through the water. Tseente, huh? Okay, well, we'll do alligator next. Nope. Huh? Oh, what did you say? A crab does. They got a pretty flat shell, right? All right. But this means turtle. Because a turtle has, that hard plate down here, and then his back is, a big old flat bone. So tseente is a turtle, okay? Who said another one? What'd you say? Oh, huh?
Alligator.
Oh, okay. So now here's a new word, okay? Came about in about 1910, maybe 1915. So they take all the Tahoe kids from Neely Chundon, send them to school in Fort Dick, and Mrs. Alice Huzzy was the teacher, and she had Swiss, Portuguese, and Tolowas to teach English. So Uncle Chet and Uncle Ernie said, here's Mrs. Alice Huzzy, and it was a picture of a monkey. And another was a picture of an alligator. She looked and she goes, monkey. And they said, monkish. And she says, monkey. And they said, monkish. So guess what? What do we call a monkey? Oh. Has nothing to do with gush means to push, which that is a verb group, but it's not. It's just borrowing it. Oh, she holds up the picture. Alligator. Alligator. And what did the Tolowa say? Dot and taste. So somehow they made a choice. So what does dot mean? Mouth. And te, it's a wide, they have a wide mouth. So that's crocodile or alligator. It means both of them. We're not going to separate them, okay? All right? Brand new word about 1915, somewhere around there. And then once it gets picked up and then everybody sees the picture, oh, dot and te, and it just becomes the new noun, right? So that's a brand new baby noun. This is an old one because turtles have been around forever. This is using the same strategy, but changing the beginning from bone to mouth. See what I'm saying? So that's one way to create nouns, for example. Crab. Oh, this is an interesting one. Okay. So this is a verb root, ka, which means to pluck and pull apart. Like when you pluck birds, feathers, you know. So what do you do when you eat a crab? You kind of bust it up and you pluck the meat out of between the bones, right? The shells, the compartments, right? So that's ka. And shush is a verb root. It's called a classifier verb. So if I have objects, this is a long object. This here is a paper object. This here is a single object. So nosh tinsh, nosh ush, nosh chumps, nosh chus, because it's going by the shape it is. So nosh shush would mean that I have something like this. So I have a long object, a single object, a paper-like object, and now, so when you get done plucking a crab, what do you have left? A bunch of nothing, right? I mean, you know, it's all pulled apart, and you're left with a heap of shrush. See? So, shush, so plucked apart pile of that thing looked like that. So that's crab, because how do we relate to crabs? We eat them and we pull them all apart, right? And eat the flesh, right? So noun making is really fun in that sense because, and the thing that's sweet about our language is that we can still pick it apart. You know, we can actually look in there and pull it all apart and say, oh, that's what they're talking about there. So remember when the Spaniards were here yesterday? So they saw him eat camote, and they saw him bring down this weird animal off the plane called mula, right? Which we borrowed mula for jackass. And they were also eating something round, and they peeled it, and then they pulled it apart and they ate it. What was that?
Orange.
That's right. And the Tolowas had never, ever seen an orange before. And they were off in the brush just like, what the heck is that? It was so funny to hear the old guys, man, what? So guess what? So just like thought and taste. Okay. Notice kush and kush are the same sound, but here it was a borrowing, so it doesn't mean nothing. But kush means to like pull, right? So tut kush, a bow, right? Something you pull, right? So separatingly into da, kai kush. So what you're doing is you're taking this thing and you're pulling it open and you're pulling it into pieces. So it's describing what has happened to the piece of fruit. And this is our word for the fruit, not the color, but for the fruit. Stankaikish. 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 So there you go. So nouns are really a blast. So let me see now, what are the categories we have? Phonologically shifting them, onomatopoeia, which are rare. I'm really jealous of these verbal ones. Verb root ones. Remember yesterday we said humpchi de nagush tush, you know, the long version of humpchi? And de nagush tush means I'm putting my 40 pounds on my back or whatever you're packing and you're going to take off, you know. And tush means that you're kind of kicking along, you know, up the hill, down the hill, along the trail, by the river, and you finally get home, right? So what is the thing that you pack on your back? It's shaped like kind of like a V, you know, conical shape, and it's got a strap, right? And you put all your belongings, your wood or whatever you're packing in. It's a burden basket, exactly. So the verb is de na tas, yashtas, to kick something, but this is the like kick like this. De na, in a laborious way, de na gushtas, I'm going to go on home, right? So guess what the burden basket's name is? Tas. Comes from the verb De na I am going to head on home. See, de na, laboriously, de na so they got to just grab the verb root with no grammar at all and just slap it up there and make it into a noun and go, the easy days. He was like, I'm jealous of those days. They could just take the verb root and make it into, into a noun. And they did. Our ancestors did do that. Let me see. So those are kind of the verb root ones. There's not a lot of those, but there's one of them. I can't think of some off the top of my head. There's a few others. Okay. Like I said, I'm kind of jealous of them. Let me see. Where's some other ones I had here? And then you've got things like noun modifying a noun. So you got noun, an existing noun modifying okay, so what happened when the first time they saw the clipper ship? We already had a word for canoe, right? A boat, chayanas, right? And then these huge ships came ashore at Echulet with these big old white masts on them, and it freaked them out. It's like, what the heck was that? And a bunch of people left and went to Hoopa and never came back. They said, we're out of here. Because they thought the end of the world was coming, right? So they left, right? So there's a couple ways to say that, yeah. So one of them, how were some of the ships actually had, fires burning in them. Others were just wind was their source of movement. So they combined, like there's I heard it two ways. So huant means what? Fire. Nas means boat. So a fire boat, okay. And actually this was around a while because when they used to go on the ocean with those big, big boats, they'd put a big thick layer of wet gravel in the bottom of the canoe and build a fire right in it and go down the coast with the fire burning in their canoe, right? So that's a huantchenas. So they have a fire canoe or fire boat, see? And then nahwat'an is a spirit, like a dead person's spirit or a ghost. So nahwat'anchenas is a clipper ship, because it had these big old white sails, look like ghosts to them. So they call it nahwat'anchenas. That's another way they call a clipper ship, and that's why a bunch of people moved away and went to Hoopa and never came back, because they just were afraid. And well, remember at Trinidad, they pulled in there and shot cannons into the village, like boom, bada boom, bada, like you'd run too, right?
They got lost very freaking.
No, that was before. This was historic, from historic times, exactly.
So what does that translate to again?
Like nahwat'an is a ghost or a spirit,
Okay.
like a dead person's,
Energy?
yeah, what do you call it? What's that word?
Apparition.
Yeah, oh, and I forgot the most simple one, which is just the nominalizer, so let's move over here. Nominalizer. All right, and this one's very productive. Okay, nominalizer just means it makes nouns. And over here, we saw it do, ni, right there. But you can take ni or ne and add it to literally any word in our language, and it makes it into a noun. Okay, if it's not already a noun. So, na'ah. He's talking, she's talking, na'ah. So how is he going to be a talker? N-I or N-E, right. Na'ane, exactly. Pick some other word. See if I know it. Pick some word. Any word. Spit. So he's going to become a spitter, right? So, tree shek, or tree shed, excuse me. So, how is he going to be a spitter? Tree shed ne. All right. This is very productive. You can add it to. You could be
The one who does it.
Yeah, any and you can even do the craziest things like he's a crabber. Like say you're telling a story to kids, and then Crab walked up to him and said, "I'm gonna eat all your dinner," and you can personify the crab with saying you can just call him Gotshursh or Gotshurshne, the crab people even. It can become like the crab people. You know, so it's more than the crab or the crab people or the crab one. You can take, so those are verbs. What about like, what if he was stone man? Stone man. So it'd be se, right? Se, ne. Se is stone or rock. So se, ne. He is rock man, he is stone man. See what I'm saying? So you can take that, and this is very productive in the language. You can just throw it anywhere on anybody. So if I want to say, you know, I'm a flyer, like, so I fly, right? So I'm saying, so nashta, I fly. Nashta, ne, I'm a flyer. Yeah.
Are there rules about when you add that second A and then
Right.
before there's if it,
Yes.
yeah.
On page, in the book, we have a page on vowel length. Okay, where is it? Vowel length. Tatla song. Oh, okay, so if you look on page 107, look on page 107, and there's a thing here about vowel length. And you'll see these really kind of weird symbols, C's and V's all through this on page 107. When you get there, take a look at that. So what a C is a consonant, and a V is a vowel. That's all that means, consonant vowel. So our language likes long vowels, right? So going back to, so what you do is you take, so this is a consonant, this is a vowel, that's a vowel. So this word is a you know, oh, excuse me, the glottal stop is a consonant. Okay, so that's what it looks like in the system, right? But when you add another vowel, because it ends in a vowel, that's called an open syllable. So let's start at the top. Open syllables end with a vowel, looking like CV. So open multiple syllabic words, CVV, are spelled as long vowels. So that's why when the syllable ends in a vowel, that's why you have to lengthen it to 2, then add the next segment. If it ends in a consonant, you don't have to do that. So let's pick a word that ends in a consonant. Sluk. Sluk. That's a consonant. So there's consonant, vowel, consonant. So that's called closed. It's a closed syllable because it's closed by a consonant. So if I add ne, I don't have to add anything. I just add ne to it, see? Because then it's consonant vowel, see? And if it ends in a vowel and it's the end of the word, you don't lengthen it. So you don't say sluk ne. You say sluk ne.
Just as a combining form.
Right. When you're combining it, if it ends in a vowel, you have to double it. Exactly. So that's what these rules are explaining to you. And if you have a monosyllabic word, which means a word, you know, one syllable word like hle or hui, you know, they're always long vowels. So hui means all, right? So you got hui. So you would spell it that way. It's hui, okay? Because it's a monosyllabic word, ends in a vowel, always is long. That's what these little rules are telling you here. Oh, and we do have the sound in the middle of the chart. It's never long ever, never. Even though I said that we like long vowels, right? So here's the central vowel. So e, u, e, a. That's the central vowel. It's always short. So if I say ta la ha, ta la ta yash, it's always short. So ta la ha. What's up? Da la ha. See, you never go d v v d It's always short. So again, how did we come up with these rules? We just observed them in the language and wrote them down. You know, this is our sound structure. Let me see, what else do we have for now? So I want to get to a thing that we use a lot. It's just called calking. So could somebody help me up here? So let's look up Triceratops for the heck of it. These already exist. Oh, wait. See this book right here? This is called the Book of New Nouns that the committee has looked at, reviewed, and approved. Okay? So if I lose this, Kyle will shoot me. Because, of course, these are all entered. Huh?
You'll have to eat.
You'll have to eat. He'll become a yawn an eater. So like, for example, like headphones, volleyball, desert, air compressor, baby powder, a drill bit, a drying rack, a flag, flea medicine, the flower pot, So all these things have come up, and so what we do is we get together, and you can do a couple of strategies, like where you just say flower pot, maybe something like that. And then sometimes you're going like triceratops. How do you even spell triceratops anyway? Tric. Ceratops, not triceratops. Triceratops. And we know that that's some animal that they dug up out of the dirt somewhere that has, a big old plate on its head with how many horns? 3 horns, right? So guess what? So when you do, this is called calking. And if you look on that sheet, it says calking. This has been a very productive tool for us. So what you do in calking is you go to Google and you type in the etymology of triceratops. So you type in etymology of, and then you type the word you want here. And what etymology means is how the word was formed in English or French or whatever word it is. So, etymology of triceratops. Oh, so it gives you a little history here. Look at this history lesson. So, it comes from the Greek, which, triceratops means 3 horns, and then they combined it with the ops, which is the face. So you got 3-horned face, right? Oh, now it's easy to translate 3-horned face. We can do that.
Yeah.
But when you go triceratops, what does that mean, right? Because your language isn't fitting. And so then I think we just came with Tahoe, right? Tahoe, right? Look in the book. I think it's, let's look it up and see what we came up with.
Dee-ni.
Huh? Do we? Ah! Okay, you're fired. I'm going to fire Chuck Whitney. Oh, so the Tahoe dead. And we just came with 3 horns. Because there's really nothing else in the world that has 3 horns that we have to worry about describing, right? And if we did, we'd just call it Tahoe dead, 3 horns. So, for example, that's an example of how we get there. And would you type in barn? Just go back and just put in etymology of barn. Because somebody was writing a unit for school, and they were at the barn, and they were going to, grow gardens and raise calves and stuff in this unit, and we didn't have a good word for barn. So, barn. Look at this. Okay, so from Old English, bere, barley. Oh, Old English, what earn or m, you put it together, so you got baron or barum to barn, to modern English, but it means barley. Barley. So the word barn really came from the old meaning barley, because they must have grew a lot of barley in those days and stashed it in a structure, and it was the barley house, the place of the barley. So then we got to think of, well, how are we going to come up with barley? So there's one from Lucy, something like clote, which means grass that is hard. You're talking about the kernel. And so then you say, oh, okay. So we just got to keep working on it. We'll come up with a word. And I think we did come up with a word for barn. And I'm not even using the source that you so graciously bought for me today. Yeah, or a shed. And then we start talking about it, because I might see it one way, and then you're going, well, wait a minute. Because we did this on the Great Plains. Somebody did a unit on the Great Plains. And I go, well, let me see. I'm thinking wind and grass. Or something like that. And then somebody else came up with, well, actually, it's not flat. It kind of rolls like this, because they've been out there, and I haven't been there. And so it's kind of neat, because you talk around the room, and you go, oh, wait a minute. Oh, and then back on barn. Let me see what barn has. Wheat, hay in it, but also has tractors. It's got baby calves. It's got grain. It's got all these tools. All this stuff too. And so then we discuss, like, well, how do you want to describe it? Because, and it doesn't. At the end of the day, when we finally pick a noun, then it's going to mean that anyway. But we're trying to get there by using our brains and our minds and our experience to do the best job describing it. And then using all these things I'm sharing with you to do that and to compose them. And remember, yesterday I gave you the word for bat, and with it through the atmosphere, a person causes it to smack that ball. Mush, yak, sut, right? Perfect verb, perfect noun, I think, so.
We could add the question, were you born in the barn?
Yeah.
Closed door?
Det numtings. Right. Where are some, let's see, ice cream, Susan Huington. So what is Susan? All right, Susan, and then Huington. This is a long form. Started getting short already. So Susan means milk, and Huington means it's frozen. And so all of us had to turn, going like this and making the milk turn into ice cream, right? So then we just say, what, Su Huington too. So ice cream, Su Huington, Yeah, so we're not restricted, by having, and in some cases, like I said, latest, tomatish, bananish, apish, they've been skush, which is squash, right? So that means pumpkin also, skush. So those have just been co-opted in through phonologically shifting them, and then these other ways of doing it. So this is our process, and we just base it on history, what other nouns look like, and there's a ton of nouns in that book, and you can pick that noun, parse it all apart, and say, oh, this is what this part's saying, that part is saying, Oh, so that's how they describe that, and it tells you about how the brain, the mind of the language is thinking, too, because it chose to describe things in a certain way. Like I told you yesterday, ta moiho deste is one way to say crane. Water's edge of it stands there, right? Chukate, no, and then there's chukate, which means to continually try to peck. So the chukate, continually attempting to peck, right? And then chukate gi, then it's now the white one. So you got chukate ni, the gray one, and then chukate gi, the egret, because it's white. See? And it just rolls on like that, and then once you start studying and seeing, you go, this is so obvious, and not, what I mean, it's actually relatively simple in the sense it's not rocket science, but you need to be paying attention to what you're doing and how you're arriving at that decision. And then the committee discusses it, and then and then we make a motion to propose to make this into a new noun, and with one of these methodologies.
Like formalize it.
And formalize it, yeah. And then I've got to learn it, and everybody else has got to learn a new word, like whatever, what I mean? Because how do we say barn, or whatever? And how do we say airport? And how do we say go see the doctor? And
Or stent, pacemaker.
yeah, all of that. Yes, exactly. So then if we did stint. We'd have to then type in calc and go meaning etymology of stint.
Of what?
Stint, like in your vein.
Oh, a stint.
Stint for your heart.
To expand your vein.
Yeah. So then, okay. So what's vein? And then there'd be something like vein stands in, like metzton. It stands in your vein, right? It opens up, or and then that's what we just don't. Does it cause it to flow through? Does it open it? Does it stand in there? So then so you're going through all this discussion, and we keep discussing. Go.
Is it a brace? Or?
Is it a brace? Is it something that gets bigger? Is its job to go in there and open that vein up, right? So, so you're trying to consider all those things in describing that new noun to translate it, or just borrow stint, which is a possibility.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we have all those sounds. We have so stunt probably stunt might be better. Stunt if we just borrowed it phonologically, Tahoe stunt he shreyet met nuini on. They put two or three, whatever it said, stints in his heart. Yeah. So that's our process, and that's exactly how we go at it. We're very scientific about it. We try to be as open-minded about it and think about as many different ways that because again, I'm viewing it one way, you're viewing it another way, and so on and so on, and you get that all on the table and talk it out. And decide and just go for it. Yeah.
There's also the borrowing from other
Oh,
methods.
right. And so so I did put this. So across family borrowing. Oh, it's after 5. Okay. So we're yeah, huh?
It's over 5?
Yeah. So we're hanging out with the Navajos, right? And Navajos mine uranium or get it mined off the reservation, And so I'm asking this Navajo, so how do you say uranium? And she goes, so. And I'm cracking up because I totally know what it means, right? So and she said, because they have an O in their language, which we don't. But means in our language and her language, their language, land or ground or soil. And so in our language is tsu, which means yellow. So when uranium is mined out of the earth, it's this chunky clay or chalky looking stuff that's yellow, and it emits gamma rays, right? So they call it so why are we going to worry about composing a word for it when the Navajos did it, right? I mean, there's no sense in wasting our time. They already coined it, so let's just borrow it from the Navajo, right? So that's cross family borrowing,
What's it called?
cross family
Language
borrowing, from another language family member. So the Navajos invented, they've been dealing with uranium for however long now, and maybe they're dealing with coal, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like with us, like we have the word stone, which is se, right? And we don't have a lot of other words for stone other than rock. But if you're in the desert, where there is nothing but rocks, they have the word stone, which is se for them, and every other kind of rock out there. Sandstone, obsidian, I don't know what all kinds of rocks there. Shale, they have a name for all of them. Now just the flip, we have the word tluk for fish, they have tlok for fish, and that's it. But we have to have one for lingcod, halibut, perch. So our list for fish words are just blown up, right? And just the opposite, theirs is blown up for rocks, right? So see, we could just borrow turquoise and sandstone from them, and they could turn around and borrow red snapper and red-tailed perch and whatever from us. If they wanted to, we wanted to cross borrow language, right? So anyway, that's what that's talking about. So it's a lot of work. It's fun. It's enjoyable and definitely attainable. Shanila.
We'll hop in. And then, so it's Metlopson's birthday today. He turns.
Hey, you nailed it.
I
know.
Wow.
So, Tahoe what? Tahoe. Mapuska Street Sana. Mapuska Street Sana. Mapuska Street Sana. Mapuska Street Sana. Chop Slam Street Elele.
Shanila, shoot na Juanila.